Ken Ham and Terry Mortensen in the article Science or the Bible state the following. The battle between the Bible and molecules to man evolution is not one of religion versus science. Rather, it's a conflict between worldviews, a creationist starting assumptions, a biblical worldview, and an evolutionist starting assumptions, an anti-biblical worldview. Ravi Zacharias on page 16 of his book, Can Man Live Without God?, defines atheism as the following. Atheism is the deliberate, definite, dogmatic denial of the existence of God. He also uses the term antitheist, antitheism, or antitheistic several times in his book, including on page 2, 9, 27, 32, and so on. This brings us to the first of the lies Christians tell, and why they tell them. The antitheist, or anti-biblical. The lie, neatly summed up, is this, that people who don't believe in God because they make an irrational, dogmatic, a-priori assumption that God does not exist. But here are the facts. Most people who don't believe in God do no such thing. Nobody defines themselves as an anti-theist, and in fact only 2.3% of the people in the world define themselves as atheists. A further 11.8% of the people in the world define themselves as non-religious. Dictionary.com equates non-religious with unreligious, meaning having no connection with or relation to religion. A very different definition from that offered by Ken, Ravi, and Terry. So the truth neatly summed up is that no irrational beliefs or dogmatic convictions whatsoever are necessary not to believe in God. In fact, that mode of thinking is actively discouraged. It's quite the opposite. Rational people critically examine the veracity of all the claims presented to them, including the ones about God. And since there's no evidence whatsoever that God exists, rational people don't believe in him. Christians tell this lie because they make the irrational dogmatic assumption that God exists, and exists in the form that they like to believe in, despite having no evidence to back up this claim and lots of evidence to refute it. And they know it. They freely admit it. They don't try to hide it, and some of them are even proud of it. But admitting this makes it obvious that their claims have nothing to do with reality, and since they can't make their claims seem more reasonable, they try to make everybody else's claims seem less reasonable by pretending that everybody else is making similar irrational dogmatic assumptions, and the only difference is which irrational dogmatic assumptions they make. But this isn't right at all. Most people who don't believe in any of these fairy tales don't believe because they started without assumptions and honestly searched for the evidence that any of the myths were real. And of course they found none for any of them. And when there's no evidence for something, rational people don't believe in it, and honest people don't say they know it's true. The words anti-biblical or anti-theist serve only to falsely equate the Christian approach to belief with the rational one. The former being irrational, dogmatic, baseless, and unconcerned with truth, and the latter being rational, reasoned, evidence-based, and wholly concerned with truth. In fact, the real difference between a Christian and a rational person is not what they think, but how they think. Similarly, the real difference between a Christian and a rational person is not what they believe, but why. If you know of a lie that Christians like to tell, please send me a message with that lie and I'll make a video about it. Other than that, please rate the video, subscribe, and wait for more. There's more coming.